This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Shalom Aleichem, good morning. Welcome to our viewers on Torah Anytime. I want to dedicate this year for the Atzlacha of Ben Zion, Ben Dosa, him and his family. Next week, in Mitzvah Hashem, we will still have a shir, and then we take a break for 3 weeks until Parshat Shoftim in Elul. But in Mitzvah Hashem, next week we still have a shir. Matot-Masei-3 and the 3 weeks, and we have some wild stuff today in Mitzvah Hashem. We're starting with politicians. Politicians are a special breed. They are known to make promises, but not really to keep them, especially before the elections. I will do this and I will do, I promise. I will do this and I will do that. But once they're in office, and when they ask him, but you promised. It's true, I did promise, but I never promised to keep my promises. That's what they say. The Torah is eternal, and the rule is everything is hinted to in the Torah. Where are these politicians' promises hinted to in the Torah? Beginning of Parshas Matos starts with Vayedaber Moshe el Rashi Matos, and you should tell them Lo Yachel Devaroi Kechol Hayotzeh Mipiv Yaseh. Don't make your words vain. Whatever comes out of your mouth, go through with it. Make sure it happens. Very unique language here. Normally you speak El Kol Yisrael or El Bnei Yisrael. For some reason here it's unique. Moshe speaks El Rashi Matos, to the heads of the tribes, in other words to the leaders. Yes, leaders, even you have to keep your promises. Because we would expect it to say Daber El Kol Yisrael, El Bnei Yisrael. No. Everybody knows that you have to keep your word. But Rashi Matos, the heads of tribes, leaders, are not always so in tune with this. So a special directive specifically for politicians and leaders, you still have to keep your word, even though you're in a position of prominence. Parshas Masei, and we'll connect it to Masos as well. Parshas Masei, Klal Yisrael travel, and they travel. So we will tell a story, a Maaseh that happened about a couple that traveled. Reuven and Rachel, God-fearing individuals, beautiful couple, went up north, and they got a tzimmer near Miron. Went to go to Rashbi, and they went Thursday night. Late night, they go for a little walk, and the husband says to his wife, you know, we've been talking for months already to go to Abi David, Abu Chatzira, in Nahariya, but we live very far away from Nahariya. Now that we're so close, why don't we go visit him now? I want to ask him some questions, especially one specific medical question, get some brachos from him. And she says, okay, if that's really what you want to do. It was midnight, and they didn't have a car, and there's no public transportation at that time, so they have to try and hitchhike. So he got her excited. She says, okay, let's go. Midnight, they go to the entrance of that yeshuv where they're staying, and they decided, we'll wait 30 minutes. If in 30 minutes somebody stops us, great, we'll go to Nahariya. But if no one stops at 12:30, we go back to our place. So they go there, and as they're starting to wait, the husband goes to the side and says, Ribono shel olam, please, allow someone who's driving to Nahariya to stop for us, take us, and if somebody does in the next 30 minutes, I will give 500 shekels as tzedakah. At the same time, his wife on the other side, she says, Ribono shel olam, I'm so tired. Please, let no one stop for us. And if no one stops for us, I'll give 180 shekels to tzedakah. What do you do for your HaKadosh Baruch Hu? You're stuck. You get two opposing prayers and you somehow have to make it work out, but when you're HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you can. Don't know how we would solve it. Fine. 12:10, 12:20, 12:30, no one stops. They made it, thank you very much. 12:30, no one's here, 30 minutes. So they turn around and start walking back to their tzimmer. They get to the place, and Reuven, the husband, says to his wife, just remembered, I didn't daven Mariv. You know what, I'm going to go to Rashbi, Reb Shimon, I'm going to daven there, I'll be right back. Fine. He goes to Reb Shimon, it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Big commotion, people are going here and there. What's going on? So he asks one of the guys, what's going on here? He says, what don't you know? Rabbi David Abu Chatzera from Nahariya just came here. Nah, really? Where is he? Right behind you, turn around. He turns around, lo and behold, Rabbi David is standing right there. He starts to cry. Rebbe, can I ask you a question? He asked him all these questions, and he asked him the medical questions. And Rabbi David Abu Chatzera answers with a lot of patience and gives him a slew of brachos. Gewaltig. How much gewaltig? This is Ritzon Yereav Yaaseh. Kodesh Baruch Hu fulfills the will of those who fear Him, even when it's opposing tefillos. Kodesh Baruch Hu has a way to do it. Moiredish. This is called Hashgacha Pratis of the highest level. But to hear a Maaseh like this and not to ask a halachic question on this, it's a bal tashchis to the story. It's mamash a bal tashchis. Tell me, do they have to pay? The husband said 500 shekels if somebody stops. 500 shekels, but I made a condition. If someone stops in the next 30 minutes, no one stopped. The woman said 180 shekels to tzedakah if no one stops. Nobody stopped. Do they have to pay or not? Let's start with the Rebbitzin. Rachel, she has to pay? Of course she has to pay. Open and close. Simple. She has to pay. She said 180 if no one stops. Her condition was fulfilled. She has to pay. Finish, no problem. Does the husband have to pay?
No.
Doesn't have to pay.
30 minutes passed.
30 minutes passed, nobody stopped. His condition was not met. Anyone wants to argue? If it was so simple, you think I would ask it? I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just asking.
Well, there's a Gemara, maybe it's the Second Matot, I'm not sure, that says any Tanai that's not like a Tanai moving and die is not considered a Tanai. So you have to make a Tanai.
Tanai kaful.
Yeah.
When you make a neder, you also have to make a Tanai kaful.
I think that's the discussion in the Gemara. I don't remember the article. I think
When you make a Tanai with another individual, Tanai kaful. When you're saying, I'm going to dedicate this item to the best of Medrash, I'm going to give this amount to tzedakah, you have to make a Tanai kaful?
so. Otherwise it's not considered a Tanai.
Burden of proof is on you. He said, if this is going to happen, I'm going to give him 500 shekels tzedakah. It didn't happen.
He said, in a specific time frame, he said 30 minutes.
He said,
So if at minute 31 someone came out.
so it didn't happen. Very clear.
So I don't understand the question.
Good. Anyone disagrees? Pasha that he has to pay, right?
Would they ask him? No, I don't think it's.
He does. He says it's so pashut. He doesn't understand why we're asking the question. He doesn't have to pay, he says. Why? Why?
Because he was supposed to go to Nahariya. In Nahariya is the place where he's going to make.
I'm sorry, you're agreeing with him. He doesn't have to pay.
He
He has to pay, he doesn't have to pay. He doesn't have to pay, you agree with him. Good, good, good. Do you want to disagree?
I don't want to disagree, but
Why not? Don't be afraid of them. I'll help you.
the tzad would be it says that what was his ratzon? His ratzon was that he gets to Rabbi Chatzera.
Do you think he needed the ride? It's just a means to get to the goal. The goal is to get to Rabbi David Abu Chatzera to get his brachos. So who cares about the ride? And if a cloud of glory would come and he would hop on and he would go there, so he wouldn't have to pay?
But he didn't say it. He didn't verbalize
Oh,
it.
but he didn't say it.
Right, no, yeah. Halachically, there's no neder there. He doesn't have to pay.
I don't want to be a nice guy. I want to know what the halacha is. Does he have to pay or not?
Halachically, no.
Oh,
If he had said, if I see Rav Abu Chatzera, I pay, that's one thing. But he didn't say that. He said, if I get the lift within 30 minutes, I go.
oh.
That's the difference.
And we learn in this parasha, Parashas Matos, Kechol hayoytze mipiv yaseh, whatever comes out of your mouth. And that's not what came out of his mouth.
But besides for what kind of, he probably had his slave, he wanted to give 500 shekels to tzedakah. He wanted to,
If his condition is met.
well, he said a condition, but he came here as das, he's prepared to give that much money to tzedakah.
You want him to be a nice guy or you want to obligate him halachically?
I'm saying a lot of the person decides he's going to give 500 shekels to tzedakah.
But he said, he said very clearly, if this happens and that did not happen, in the next 30 minutes somebody stops, so no one stopped. So why do you want to obligate him to take out money from his pocket? Kol hamoitzi mechaveiro alav haraya. Shulchan Aruch will assist you. And we'll go against all of you guys. Shulchan Aruch Yoredea, Siman Smell. Where's that? Siman Smell.
Well,
Now you're going to remember it forever. Reish Yud Chet, Reach, smell. Simen Reach, Simen smell, Seif Aleph, good smell. Smell of Gan Eden. Says the Shulchan Aruch. Kol hanoider or anishba, anyone who makes a neder or shvua. Roim dvarim shebiglalam nishba or nadar. We see what was the reason for you making this neder. Veloimdim mehem le'ezo kavana niskaven. And we see what was his real intention. Veholchim achar ha'inyan velo achar mashma'u sadibu. We do not go after one's words. Contrary to everything that you guys said. We do not go with your explicit words. We go after the kavana. It's umdina demuchach. It is clear to all of us that the reason you made this neder is because you wanted to come to Rabbi David. Imagine, your condition is met, and somebody stops, and he takes you to Nahariya, and you get there, and first of all you have to stay, who knows? You have to line there an hour and a half. You have to, and Rabbi David is not there. He is where you just left. You wouldn't have to pay then. The whole idea is to get to him. It's just a vehicle to get to your destination. Destination is what I am obligating myself to give 500 shekels because I want to get the brachos. What would it help me to get to Nahariya and not to see him? And therefore, says the Shulchan Aruch, we go after the meaning of the words of the neder, not after the words themselves. So even if they would have get that ride, somebody would stop for them, it wouldn't mean that they would actually get to see him. But now that he got to see him, and that was his intention, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu saved him hours of driving, of waiting, and he can go to sleep much earlier. Of course he wants to pay, and of course he should pay. So Lemaisa he has to pay Tavin Utkilin. She's going to pay 180, and he's going to pay 500. And Emet Hashem, all the brachos that they received should be fulfilled.
Right, so that means if he actually went to Nahariya,
I'm not sure he would have to pay.
exactly.
So it's mamish, what's called in Hebrew, hafuch al hafuch. Exactly the opposite. Because we go after the kavana and not after the words of the neder.
How about her? Because if
How about what?
About her. If she knew that Abu Chatzera would come there, maybe...
And he doesn't see women. She is going to be asleep. She wanted to accompany her husband wanted to accompany her to go to Nahariya. But anyway, she's not going to go in.
Yeah,
So she can actually go back to bed just like you wanted. She's exhausted.
Because she thought she had to do a 2-hour drive and so on.
Right.
But if she knew that he would be there in 10 minutes, and that she would not. So if you go after the meaning, shouldn't be...
The meaning is, leave me alone. Let me go back to the room. I want to go to sleep. And that's the condition she made. And it worked. She worked. You have to pay. Because even if they wouldn't get to see Rabbi David, but somebody would stop with them, she would be on the road, who knows for how long. She would come back at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. That's not what she wanted. So what she did want, HaKadosh Baruch Hu provided. HaKadosh Baruch Hu provided what you wanted, so pay up.
What does Shulchan Aruch do with Kol Hayotze Mipiv Yaseh?
Kol hayotze mipiv yaseh, meaning, as the Gemara Darshan, as the Shulchan Aruch Paskins, we want to understand why you said what you said. Sometimes people say specific things, but they don't really mean it. He didn't mean, I want the ride no matter what. I want to go to Nahariya even though Rabbi David is not here. He's in Chutz La'aretz. Do I want to go to Nahariya? I think that if I'll get the ride, I'll get to see Rabbi David. That is my goal. And therefore, Shalem Yeshalem, he has to pay. Another interesting shaila that happened with a Bachor. Next week we're starting Ben Azmani. Ben Azmani sometimes for some strange reason, Bachurim find it a little harder to learn than when they're sitting in yeshiva, which is strange. It should be easier. Because when you're in the program, you're restricted to learn what the yeshiva asks you to learn. Ben Azmani just means it's not vacation from learning. It's vacation from the programmed structure that the yeshiva requests. It means you can learn whatever you want. It's much more, it's gewaldic. You don't have to stop. But for some reason, some people go on vacation, they travel, they go all kinds of things. And some people find it a little harder. So this guy knew that he's going to be very busy. So he said, you know what? I'm going to make sure, no matter what, a daf a day. One daf, one block Gemara every single day. And in order to ensure this happens, he made a condition with himself, with a neder. I'm not going to eat dinner unless I already learned the daf. Good. First, second, third, fourth day of vacation, everything's good. One day he was very busy, very busy. He went up north, he went here, went there, and he's exhausted, and he's starving, and he washes his hands for bread, and then he's about to take the bread. Oh, I didn't learn today. Yeah. Now comes the question, what should he do? Should he eat? Because he said a bracha. You don't want a bracha levatala. Or should he learn? You made a condition. You're not going to eat before you learn, and aneder kechol hayoytze mipiv yaseh. Want to transgress nedarim? Nedarim is very severe. The Gemara says in Shabbos, Lamed Beis, Lamed Gimel, the severity. I don't want to repeat the words, but what can happen to a person who doesn't keep his word? Khalil can lose his wife.
But he did the bracha.
What's that?
He did the bracha already.
He finished, let's say he finished al netilas yadayim. And then, he goes to the table, he picks up the bread, I didn't learn. What should he do?
Was that his whole dinner with the bread?
I'm sorry?
Was that his whole dinner with the bread?
Oh, Shiva Bucha, after a very, very long day, what's the bread going to do for him? He said the bracha on netilas yadayim. He's going to start with the bread. He's going to move on to the steaks and to everything else.
The bread is not dinner.
The bread is not dinner.
Okay, beitza bread, that's not dinner. He had to come on for
So what do you want him to do?
He should make a bracha, eat a kibbutz or whatever he's doing.
And that's not a meal.
It's a meal, but it's not dinner.
Huh.
He said he's not going to eat dinner.
It's a meal, but it's not dinner.
I mean, it's not what he meant. It's not what he meant.
Chidushim.
That's not dinner.
What's that?
Goes into the kavana.
Chiddush. And if it's only his meal, if the bread is all he has today, so what do you want him to do then? I'm asking because I don't agree with you. Bread is the staple of every meal. Bread is the meal. You're going to have a lot of things with it. Dvarim habayim lelapet et hapat, and then they're exempt from a bracha. The fact that he's not saying a bracha for the meat and for the soup, if everything else is because they're secondary, they're tafel to the bread. The bread is the meal. Now what are you going to do if he only has bread? The shitascha. What do you want him to do then?
He just did Al Natil Kadan. It's I mean, it's a problem because of Shem Hashem.
I know it's a problem. What do you want him to do?
But he doesn't have to.
So, Bachar Vatal is something small.
It's a hefsek between his washing and his eating.
Yeah.
That's
And you don't mind.
That's the dieva. It's a long hefsek. We used to wash again without a
So
bracha.
what do you want to do?
You have to learn stuff.
Learn enough. He's a slow learner. 2 hours. You're okay with that?
He was okay with that. I think it's a silly neder, but he did it.
Silly, Neder. Nidre Ziruzin, he was mezalaz himself for a mitzvah. You're allowed to do this?
He learned it takes him 2 hours. He's got to do it.
Bachar Vatal is something small.
No, it's he has to wash his hands again without a bracha before he eats.
But what about the bracha you said? You said a bracha. For what exactly?
For washing.
And if he kept his hands, he knows he kept his hands right here on the table, didn't touch anything, why do you have to wash again?
No, hefsek, a big hefsek, like 2 hours.
There's a hefsek, but he knows he kept them betara. Actually, it's very cold, so he has gloves on. Why does he have to wash
I
again?
think the hefsek is too long.
So it's the hefsek that requires the netila, not the fact that your hands may have not been kosher, not be toho. We have tremendous chidushim here this morning.
I wonder if, first of all, bracha batala is if someone says a bracha and doesn't do, but here he washed his hands. So I wonder if it qualifies completely as a bracha batala. And second,
You're thinking like the Ritva. Famous Ritva in Chulin Daf Kuf Vav Amud Beis. Al Netilas Yadayim is different than other mitzvahs. It's an independent mitzvah. I did the mitzvah, what do you want from me? I thought I'm going to eat. The Ritva is talking about a person who wanted to eat bread. He washed his hands. He says, Al Netilat Yadayim. Behidu. Articulated every word. He goes to the table, oh, can't stand this bread. Or whatever reason, he changed his mind. Thought it doesn't feel well. Whatever, something happened. Nimlach it's called. He decided not to eat. Says the Ritva, it's not a bracha levatala. When you washed, you had in mind to eat. You did exactly what they told you. They told you to go and wash. You did that. It's not called a bracha levatala.
wonder the second option maybe, I don't know, in the morning we do the Tedayim, we cut the shachar. I wonder if there's another, something that he can do not eating after the Tilat Yadayim to satisfy the Tilat Yadayim and not.
So in Shulchan Aruch, Siman Kuf Samech Vav, we learn that one should be careful not to cause a hefsek between Netilas Yadayim to the meal. Here, it's not a bracha levatala, but you should try to eliminate any hefsek or hesach hadas. So what should you do? Take the Gemara to the table, sit there near the bread. Think, I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about you, bread. Go back to the thinking about you. Learn, minimize the hefsek. Learn as much time it takes you, whatever it is, and then you can go and eat. That's the easy part of the question. But what if he already said amoitzi? He did a tilas yadayim. It's not a bracha levatala. We have a ritva to rely on. Great. He took it a step further. He went to the table. He said amoitzi. Oh, I didn't learn today.
You should eat a kazayas. You should eat a kazayas.
Meiranede, I'm not going to eat my dinner until I learn.
Kazayas is not, it's not
He's not considered eating.
Not considered full.
For a neder, is it not considered eating for? It's not considered eating for. The Torah says don't eat to gazayas. When you say I'm not going to eat, what do we think that means?
There's even a crumb. Know what you're saying?
No, Brachal Batala is here. Brachal Batala has it's also deraisa now.
Bachal levatala is the machlokes if it's a deraisa derabanan. We paskin, most authorities paskin, it's a very severe derabanan. There are opinions bedas harambam that it's a deraisa. Most understand it not to be like that, explaining according to the simple language of the Rambam. But in Chuvas Pe'er Hador, the Rambam seems to be saying it's a deraisa. But lemaise, most authorities hold, especially Ashkenazim, that it's a severe, not stam derabanan, a severe one. Some opinions hold that deraisa.
Taste the bread.
Taste.
Yeah.
What about tasting?
He says not have dinner. No one thinks that he meant he's going to have. Yeshivach is going to have crumbs.
So you're retracting.
What was the lashon of his neder? Was it neder?
I'm not going to have my dinner before I learn my daf.
The shvua or the neder?
Beneder.
He's a.
I'm not going to, that's a neder.
He's a kohen. He's kohen. What is it?
I'm making a commitment, which the Torah just told us. Kechol ayoytze mipiv yaseh lo yachel devoro. What is lo yachel? What is lo yachel? Rashi. What is lo yachel? Don't make your words chulin. Ayid's word is kodesh. It's kedusha. You said something, you committed. Finished. Kechol ayoytze mipiv yaseh. And you said you're not going to eat your dinner before you learn.
Maybe what if he fulfilled the if he ate a kazait, learned the daf, and then eat the chocolate and everything else. So he didn't finish the meal before.
That's what they're saying.
He sandwiches it in between, so he doesn't do the rachal batala.
Is that a neder? If someone says, I'm not going to. Is that a neder?
I'm taking upon myself not to eat dinner. That's a neder.
If he says, I'm not going to eat dinner till I learn that, that's a neder?
What is it?
Yes, I thought a neder.
What do you want to call it?
I thought the neder has to be.
What do you want to call
I
it?
said there's two isur. Shvua and neder. The neder has to be kohen chayfetz something. It has to be isur chayfetz. It has to be kohen dinner.
What do you want to call it? A Kabbalah Toiva? But what do you want to call it? I'm with you. What do you want to call it? Meaningless. Say one thing and do the other. That's what you're saying. Ayid's word is Kodesh. You accepted on yourself not to eat before you learn. You must go through with it. Otherwise, we promise all the time. We don't have to keep our word. We said before at the beginning of the year, even politicians have to keep their word. We said before.
He didn't say which daf he's going to learn.
A daf.
The daf.
You're saying go to Nazir, Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. That's a great idea. That's what you're saying, brother, right? You know how many the words are in Nazir, Lamed Gimel Amud Beis? Daf Yomi teachers have a problem. Or maybe it's not a problem. There's 0 words in Lamed Gimel Amud Beis, the big toisves. And the other side, Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph has very few words, 1 or 2 sentence lines, something like that. You're saying that's what you should learn. But anyways, you said a bracha, you want to cause a hefsek after a moitzi?
No, but you can also learn about speaking. You can look and
Mehiru.
it's considered learning.
When I'm saying I'm going to learn, what do most people understand? The word limud. What does that mean? Well, to verbalize, no?
I mean, say for example, someone that's sitting in Yeshiva now, the people that are listening online to Yeshiva, they're not speaking, they're just listening to the man. Is that counted as
But do they say, I'm going to hear a shir, I'm going to learn a daf gemorah? What do they normally say? He said, I'm going to learn a daf. Doesn't learn normally suggest I'm going to verbalize what I'm going to. In theory, some people scan with their eyes, but lichoyre limud means I'm going to say it.
also the people consider listening to a daf?
Correct, but do they say I'm going to learn now? I'm going to listen to shir.
We argue that this daf is what Sarach Sukudah.
Ay, what's we're hearing today? Ay.
We haven't, let's say you make a motion.
You understand what he's saying?
You realize you didn't feed the dog yet. So you made a motzi, but you're not allowed to eat. You can feed your animal.
Gevaldik. Let's see. This shaila mamish appears by the Sdei Chemed. The Sdei Chemed says about a person who committed to learn before he eats, and he realized after he said the bracha moitzi, and he said, Sar Hashgacha, Gavar Alav, the minister upstairs, was in charge of forgetfulness, took over and caused him to forget that he didn't learn. And then he remembers. So he brings some Gedoylei HaAchronim, 5 different ways. It's like what we were saying. He said, "Hamoitzi lechem min ha'areh." Oh, should I eat or not? So he brings 5 different shitos, and he's not crazy about each one of them. Lemaise, we're going to come out with the 6th answer that he doesn't bring, but I think he would admit to it as well. The first one he says, learn. And it's not hefsek. Why? Just like you're allowed to say, Gabi Latori, you're allowed to say, oh, I forgot to feed my animal, and one is not allowed to eat before his animal eats. Shneimar. Tati yesed besadcha, firstly b'mtecha, and only then it says, you should go with v'chalta v'samata. Mimena, you are not allowed to eat before you feed your animal. So it becomes tzorech ha-seuda. It's for my seuda that I'm feeding the animal. It's for my seuda that I said now the bracha that I have to learn. Mimena, it's not a hefsek.
Which one?
Learn!
What the bracha matzah?
You said Hamoitzi, and you remembered? Now, just like you say, it's not a bracha levatala, it's tzorech ha-seuda. Just like they allowed you to say, if you remember you didn't feed your animal, go and feed my animal, because that becomes your tzorech ha-seuda. You're allowed to speak at that time. The only thing is,
eating bread.
yeah. However, the Sdei Chemed asks, if that's the case, how come in Siman Reish Ayin Aleph, the Rema says that somebody who said Hamoitzi, Motzei Shabbos, and then he remembers, oh, I didn't do Havdalah. What should we say to him, according to this? Say Havdalah. And yet the Rema says no. So he asks, why is that? The Noise Kerim tried to bring Chilukim. He's not crazy about this one way. Second way. Swallow a little less than a shear, like as you suggested. This way you didn't lose your tinies. Let's say you're in a tinies today, and you ate less than the shear, less than a kazait. You're still allowed to say Anenu. You still consider that you're fasting. But now he deals with the language of what exactly did you accept in yourself? Did you accept in yourself, Isu tinies, I'm going to be fasting until I eat the daf, until I learn the daf, or that I'm not going to taste anything before I eat? And then if you said that, even one crumb you won't be able to eat. But he says even a tanis. You're right that it still says Anenu, it's considered your fasting. But you're not allowed to eat that crumb on a tanis. It's just that if you did, we're not going to say, oh, you lost your tanis. But you're still not allowed to. Chatzi shiur doesn't mean chatzi shiur. It means anything under shiur, even a tiny little amount. And here, also when he says, I'm not going to have my dinner, so he says dinner. But lichoira, tasting something is not considered dinner. And he says, and it makes more sense to say that really he accepted himself not to eat a full dinner, but to eat something small, a snack that he never intended. So lichoira he can. Again, he's not crazy about this idea because he has some questions about it. Third way, Chiddush. Take that bite. Move everything to one side of your mouth and learn. And this is according to the opinion of the lenient approaches that allow you to speak before you actually swallowed. You're not going to satisfy the other opinions that say you must swallow before you speak. So it's another great suggestion, but only according to one opinion, so I'm not crazy about that. Fourth opinion, learn by hiru. You guys were mechaven to Gidoi Le'olam. Learn by hiru. Why? With hiru, you're also mekayim the mitzvah of Talmud Torah. And he deals with what we said before, B'nedarim, halech achar leshon b'nei Adam. We go according to what the neder meant, not the specific wording. So normally when people say I'm going to learn, normally it means I'm going to verbalize what I'm going to say. But if you can rely on learning behiru just by scanning with the eyes, shechaven libo la'aviv shebashamayim, maybe it can work. Not crazy about that. Fifth possible way, hint to 3 people who are next to you to annul your neder. You got to be very clever and creative how to do it without hint. They'll figure it out. Yeah, they'll figure it out somehow, and they'll annul your neder. You understand? It's not the greatest thing in the world. So I think could be maybe, and therefore I think the 6th possible answer that he doesn't bring, but he'll definitely admit to, is that the best thing is don't ever make a neder. Just say bli neder. So chalila not to transgress nedarim. It's a very severe thing.
The 5th one is the problem. Do the annulling. That's definitely hefsek. He has to also give a peta in order to be able to.
They're going to be poteach becharata, and they're going to ask him questions.
Why can't you say that you go ahead and
you
go ahead and eat, rely on what is said at previous stir, Kol Nidre.
Not going to help him. Kol Nidre is only for Nedarim that you're not aware of, that you don't remember. Nedarim that are specifics, and that's the language that we use in Atavas Nedarim Erev Rosh Hashanah. Nedarim that you know what you did, you actually have to go and annul them. Kol Nidre doesn't work for them.
Is it the form that you say that will be applied?
To anything that I will go from here forward or backwards, but that I'm not going to remember. If I know what I'm talking about, I have to go and annul it. That doesn't help. He remembered the exact neder that he made. At the time that he held the bread, he forgot for a second that he didn't learn. Not that he forgot the neder. He forgot that he didn't learn today. You remember that? Parashas Matos, we learn about kashering vessels. Kol davar sheyavo ba'esh. What should happen to it? Ta'aviru ba'esh v'tayar. And v'chol asher lo yavo ba'esh. What should you do? Ta'aviru b'may. The rule is kebolo kach poltoi, which means the way it was absorbed into the vessel is the way it's going to put it out. If you cook something in liquid and beverage and water, so it needs hagala in boiling water. And if it was roasting in fire, so you need libun. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? That the way it came into the vessel, that's the way it should go out of the vessel? Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Me too. It's very reasonable. Makes a lot of sense. So how come the pasuk starts with Zos Chukas HaTorah? What is a chok? Something you don't understand. The Torah says, I'm going to tell you something now fascinating that you will never be able to figure out. Listen, it makes so much sense. If it came with fire, so remove it with fire. Water? Remove it with water. I don't understand what you're saying. Of course I understand. Zos Chukas HaTorah. A chok. It's not a chok.
You might not understand that. That is motzi.
You don't understand it? It's so reasonable. Everybody understood.
If you knew there was a way to be motzi, then that would maybe be a lot of trouble. We don't know there's a way to be motzi.
Why? If something came in a certain way, it can leave in the same way.
It's not kosher forever.
Why? It's no longer here.
Always pleasure.
Why? It's no longer here. It doesn't give over the taste. Everything here makes sense.
How do I know it's mutter then?
Because the Torah says it's mutar, but the Torah explains it to you. And if you understand what the Torah says, so it's not a chok. A chok is something you don't understand. They tell you don't wear shatnez. The Torah doesn't explain why. Because I told you not to. You understand why? Chok.
Scientific perspective, just the borehole is difficult to understand.
Say it again.
From a scientific perspective, just the fact that a metal vessel will absorb food inside at that temperature is difficult to understand.
But once you understand that it absorbs, so I tell you the same way it was absorbed, it leaves. That part makes sense.
That makes sense.
Zos Chukas HaTorah.
It doesn't make sense that it's mutter.
Why? If the item is no longer here, and they're telling you scientifically it's no longer here, it doesn't give over the taste, so why shouldn't it be kosher?
We can't prove that it left. We can't prove
The Torah proved. The Torah says kosher, it's kosher. And I understand the methodology, I understand how it works. So why are you calling it a chok?
Going on with that, the whole Indian of tumor, how come if a Mishnah touches something, it can become tome? I mean,
We don't understand that.
right.
But this I do understand. It's a flavor that's absorbed in the vessel. It's going to give over that flavor to something else that you're going to cook it. But if you removed it in the same methods that the Torah discusses, which makes sense to us, so it no longer gives over taste. So mimele, it's kosher. I think it's very, very understandable, very reasonable, makes a lot of sense, and hard to call it a chok. Torah calls it a chok. I think maybe what Torah is saying. I want you to accept and to do these things, even when you understand it 100%. Treat it as if it's a chok. In other words, if you're going to start understanding things and accepting them, but what you don't understand, that it doesn't make sense to me, I don't do it. The Torah says that's not the way to go. You have to explain. You have to accept everything the Torah says, even those things that make 100% sense to you, but do them as a chok. I'll explain to you why that is, and you'll enjoy it. You'll accept it. You'll digest it. It's great. I understand it, but don't do it because you understand it, because then you're deciding and writing your own Sefer Torah. Do it because the Kodesh Baruch Hu made him and treat it and view it as if it's a chok from Shemayim. Because otherwise, I don't understand why it says Zois Chukas HaTorah. Maybe. We spoke before about traveling. Another myself traveling. Or maybe not. Reuven felt very weak for a while. Didn't understand what it is. His whole body. So after a while, decided to go to a doctor. the doctor does all kinds of tests and checks him out, and he says to him, "Do you ever go see the Northern Lights?" Northern Lights? Up there in Iceland? Nope. Did you ever go to the jungles, safaris in Africa? No? I think you should go there. The woman says, "Doctor, are you also a travel agent? Do you have stocks in some airlines or hotel chains?" Doctor says, "No." "So why are you saying this?" "Look, after the battery of tests that we performed and all the tests that I did, it suggests one thing. I'm very, very sorry to tell you. Very sorry. But you're terminally ill. You have at most 6 months. At most 6 months. So you're telling me you've never been to the Northern Lights and you've never seen the jungles. I think pack up and go have a great time. Enjoy the last 6 months of your life. Why not? Go crazy." Reuven goes home. He's devastated. But then he starts thinking about what the doctor said, and it made sense to him. If I only have 6 months, and there are amazing places in this world to see that I've never experienced, I think I should do what the doctor said. He left his job. It was a good job. He resigned. He sold his house and a few other assets, backed up, and embarked on this journey to see exotic places all over the world. He had a great time. When he came back, he sat and he was waiting for Malach HaMavis. He wanted to meet him. Malach HaMavis didn't knock on the door. Didn't even call. Forget. He started feeling better. So he goes to another doctor. The doctor checks him out and says, "There's no chashash for your life." The first doctor made a mistake. It's not that it's a nace. You had something major and now you're good. It was a mistake. The first diagnosis of the doctor was wrong. Comes Reuven and says, "The first doctor destroyed my life. Does he have to pay?" I lost so much money on this. I had a good time, it's true. But I lost so much money. I lost my job, lost my house. Everything is much more expensive. Does the doctor have to pay?
Isn't that grammar? Isn't that the grammar? The concept is not.
It's a grammar. It's an indirect. Gam ben Ezekin, Patu is an indirect in damages. You're exempt. You're saying doctor was exempt. Not even $1. No. So you want him to pay? He's not a grammar?
Maybe not. The only difference if it was complete negligence. I mean, if there
The
was
only difference?
negligence. Was it negligence or was it just a genuine mistake that the doctor can do?
It's not that he looked at him and says, "I think," he did a lot of tests. Made a mistake.
Maybe it was a miracle. Yeah.
It's not a miracle. The second doctor, and let's go to a third and fourth doctor that all admit the first doctor made a mistake. It wasn't a miracle. Mistake.
When did he discover it? It happened after his trip.
When he came back, sitting at home waiting for Malach HaMavis, Malach HaMavis doesn't come, so he realized something is off. So he went to the doctor and he started feeling better.
Surely, when you've only got such a short time to live, you should be concentrating on Torah and not traveling the world.
True. But he's asking a monetary question. Does the doctor have to pay me or not?
I say no. That was not responsible. Because the person himself, the sick person himself, decided on his own that because of that, I'm going to do that, and then he sold it. The doctor didn't tell him to sell. The doctor didn't tell him to go to to safari. The doctor didn't tell him that. He decided on his own. It's his mistake. It's his problem.
Not even $1.
Not even $1.
Another point is that someone who has given a sentence like this goes to see a second doctor, and he didn't see anybody else.
You always have to go see a second doctor?
I assume when the doctor says something like this, one goes for a second opinion.
Right.
It's not.
You sure? You sure? You sure?
I would do that. I don't think that a normal person gets a stuff like this from a doctor will go and check if he didn't make a mistake. It's a big thing.
Even if he's a top doctor?
Yeah.
What's called muflag b'chokhmah?
The story of Rav, he wrote many books. He had something like all the mumchim who wanted to basically Rav Nostrum were talking about. I forgot the name. He wrote many books, and basically he had he had polio before, and then he had other things, the cancers. And at the end of the day, they all wanted to do a surgery. It was totally devastating. And a small doctor from Japan who was not connected to all the mumchim, he said, "Why do they want to beat you? Just do this and this." And
So the Maisa, you should have traveled to Japan, you're saying, instead of the jungles.
he should have seen a second doctor, I think, as a minimum status.
Anyone disagrees?
I agree, but the issues with a doctor has a license to practice medicine, and there's a mumcha, if he did his proper shtablos and he gave up his diagnosis and his psak, then he's a potter from damages covenants of his psak.
So no one wants to obligate a doctor.
Although what they say like a doctor is
What do they say? You don't want to send him there. Tov shevaroifim legehenom. But that doesn't mean he has to pay on the way to Gehenom. Avoisai, you're going to have a problem potentially with the Rambam. Rambam in Hilchos Zchia Umatana, Perek Vav, Halacha Chav Daled, writes, a person is about to get married. Mazel tov. So the Chassan paid for the hall, for the catering, flowers, the band, photographer, what else? You name it. 5 hours before the wedding, Kala calls, I don't think I'm going to get married to you tonight. Bye-bye. Hangs up. Does she have to pay?
Yes.
Everything's going to go in the garbage. Says the Rambam, she has to pay. She got cold feet, you pay. Why? You're saying she's just a grandma. Says the Rambam, because she caused him to lose his money. Listen to her language. V'chol hagoyrem le'abed mamon chaveiro. If you cause your friend to lose his money, meshalem. Now, do you want to retract what you said before?
No.
How are you going to reconcile this Rambam with what you're saying?
Because, like I said before, the fact that he decided that he wanted to do this. He could have just sat there and, did nothing. It wouldn't have cost him anything. So therefore, that's the time that the doctor can have.
It's a completely different case. The guy is not married to the doctor. I mean,
I hope.
That was an agreement between two people.
Let's see why it's different. Why it's different. And not relevant to us at all. Why? What's that? No. Here, down here on earth. Why? The Noise Kerim explain over there. Over there, it's not a gamma. It's called garmi. Garmi is a higher level of indirect damages, closer to mamish, to mezid. When it happens immediately, and you're the one who causes it. The Rambam discussed about minag b'nei HaMedina. Everybody, when they make a wedding, can you have a wedding without schnitzel? Can you have a wedding without the flowers and the band? Not shayach. That's the minag. I did what I was expected to do because of you. When you said we're going to get married on this and this date, you're basically as if saying to me, go and spend the money. You did it. Mimele, she is garmi, not grama. And garmi, you have to pay. So it's as if she said to him, the Bach in Even Ezer Simen Nun, she says, as if she says to him, Lech totzi otzaot. Go and spend this money and pay for this. And the nullifying of this wedding is mamish. It's called a nezek miyadi. It's an immediate damage that she is causing. It's considered she is mitkavenes lehazik. She has intention to damage. Now I know she got cold feet. I know. But Lemaisa, you know exactly the expenses that the chassan incurred, and everything is ready, and you call him in the morning and say it's not happening, you understand? So there you have to pay. In our case, you can't call the doctor the mazik. He didn't intend to damage the patient. He didn't command him, go and travel. He gave him what he thought was an eitzah toiva. Lemaisa was an eitzah, very bad eitzah, but he didn't intend to do this. The Rema says in Choshen Mishpat, Simen Shin Pei Vav, Hamazik lechaveiro, one who damages his friend with the bad advice that he gave him, Patur is exempt because he is only considered a grama b'nezikin and therefore he is patur. And in this case, it's possible that the doctor is even exempt in dinei shamayim because this is such a grama rechoika, such a distant type of an indirect damage, and he didn't have any intention to damage. Agrama and Ezekin is patu. But Agrama and Ezekin, which you have an intention to do, intentionally you do this, you're chayav b'din shamayim. Here he's not. Because here he did not have any intention to damage.
This is another strong point, the fact that this guy who was, thought he was dying, he went and he could have had the best time of his life.
He did. But Lemaise now, he lost because of it. If a doctor gives advice that one has to have a surgery, if he's muflak b'chokhmah, you don't have to go for a second opinion. If he is not muflak b'chokhmah, he's not the top doctor, you should go for another opinion. So we normally listen to the doctor. Doctor says, violate Shabbos. We do. Eat on Yom Kippur. We do. But we still didn't hear that in the medical community and in their books, it says one of the eitzes, the great eitzes and recipes for complete healing is to travel to see the Aurora Borealis and then to see the northern lights in the jungle. That's not a part of his medical service. It's a good eitzah, I have a friend. Or he wants to be a friend. Who said the patient had to listen to him? He decided to listen to him. It has nothing to do with medical advice. Rabbeinu Yehuda Halevi, what are they showing him? Has a beautiful expression. Ta'ut haroife, ritzon haboire. The mistake of the doctor is the will of your creator. The doctor didn't make this mistake stam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to say this, even though he's not aware of this, in order for the patient to become a Baal Tshuva. Like you said, to awaken him. Oh, I have such short time left. I may do a little better. Halal, in this case, it didn't work. Instead of doing tshuva, he accumulated all kinds of amazing experiences in distant places. Great for him. It's kedai to know, though, what the Rivash writes. This I'm going to give you a slew of Rishonim. Rivash. Rivash is maybe 800 years ago. Listen to our language. If there are doctors here, we're not we have anything against you, but I'm just quoting the Rivash. If we believe the words of the doctors, why? Because with their wrong, as if miracles, wrong words that they say, for example, this is treifa. How long can a treifa live according to Chazal? 12 months, that's it, finished. And yet, al pi chachmei harefua, some doctors come and they say, no, it can live for 2 years, 10 years, nothing's going to happen. Sachar harbe titol min hakatzavim. You're going to be very, very rich from the bushes because they're going to love you if you listen to the doctors. You have to listen to Chazal. Ki be'emes yahafchu rubam mimaves lechaim. He says most of the times, doctor says, you're going to die, and that guy can continue to live. Umechaim lemaves, and the opposite, veyachlifu chai bemet. That's what the Rivash says. Shiltei Giborim, Sanhedrin, Perek Ches, Daf Yud Ches from the Dapim of the Rif. Harbe nidon lemita be'einei haroifim. Many people that the doctors think they're going to die, and yet urefuasan kroiva, they can be healed easily and very soon. The Rosh, and I think we mentioned this Rosh a few weeks ago, Baba Kama at the beginning of Perek HaChoivel says, V'tzarich sheyeh lachoyle koiras ruach meharoife. The patient has to be satisfied and happy with the doctor. And if the doctor annoys him or frightens him, and they don't have a good rapport, it's not good for the patient. The patient is going to be healed faster when he believes in the doctor and the doctor gives him chizuk. The Gemara says in Baba Kama Pehei Amud Aleph and other places, V'rapo yerape, he shall surely heal, double language. Mikan, shenitna reshus laroife lerapos. The doctor has permission to heal. And it's true. And the Rishonim already say the doctor has permission to heal. But the doctor does not have any permission to cause the patient to go into depression. Who gave you permission to say this to a doctor, to a patient? By the way, you only have 6 months, so enjoy yourself. It could be I'm wrong, you only have 5 months. Chas v'shalom. Just hearing this terrible news can destroy a person. Even though we said what we said, that we're going to exempt the doctor, however, the Beis Din should consider firing this doctor and not allowing him to practice medicine, even though he has license to practice medicine. Why? B'Basa Chaf Aleph Amud Beis, we learned that there's a few professions that you don't get a warning. One strike, you're out. Normally we warn a person before he makes a mistake, we warn him. But there's some professions that they don't have this. Who are they? For example, the soifer. The soifer in town, he writes a get. If he's not careful, he allows a married woman to get married again. It's terrible. The shoichet. One mistake, and you're feeding the whole town typhus. The melamed tinoikis. The Rebbe. The Gemara over there says that Yoav ben Tzuya killed only the males of Amalekim. So David the Melech came and said, but the pasuk says, you have to eradicate Zeicher Amalek, everybody. He says, no, that's not what I learned. When I was in Cheder, the Gemara says, Shabashta kevan de al, a mistake. Once it comes in, it stays. I remember in Cheder, the Melamed used to tell us, Zechar Amalek. He put either a patach or a kamatz under the chaf. It's not Zeicher, Zechar. All the males in Amalek you should eradicate. I didn't have to kill them all. Yoav is now an adult. But since this is what he learned in Cheder, the mistake went in. Look what a terrible mistake that is. So some people are not so lucky to have a warning. It's as if mutra ve'oimet. As soon as you come into that profession, you're already warned. By the fact that we allow you to practice that profession, you are already warned once. One strike, you're out. One of those unlucky people is the doctor. One mistake of the doctor can kill people. So lichoira, here this doctor was kaldas. He made a terrible, terrible mistake. He was negligent. He told the person, you have 6 months to live. And some people, that in itself can kill them. In fact, there's a pasuk in Mishlei, Perek Yud Ches, pasuk Yudaled. Listen to a language of the pasuk. Ruach ish yechalkel machalehu, veruach nechea mi yisaena. In other words, a man's spirit can sustain him through illness, but a broken spirit, who will bear it? Says the Gaon Mivilna on this pasuk, if a person is besimcha, he can take on any machla. He can beat the sickness just because he's besimcha. But if his spirit is broken, who will be able to bear it? So the doctor with this type of bad news can destroy a person. Mamash can kill him. The Darkei Tshuva writes that a shoichet, that we see that he has kalus rosh, lightheadedness, it's dependent on the dayanim. And if the dayanim want, they can say, you know what, you're fired, you're not allowed to practice being a shoichet anymore. So the same thing will apply here. We have to see if this doctor is considered a kaldas, if he has bad midos, and if so, we have to remove him from his tafkid. So the Maise, he's exempt from paying, he doesn't have to pay even $1. But the Beis Din should consider if this doctor can continue practicing medicine or not. Parshas Maaseh, we learn about the cities of refuge. Riddle of the day. Who do we send to the city of refuge? Unintentional killer? Can it be that we send a dead body to the city of refuge? Unintentional killer means it's a guy who's walking and talking and we send him, oh, you killed unintentionally. Oh, city of refuge. Can it be that we send dead people to city of refuge? A dead person. Somebody's an avil?
Someone's going to die within a month is considered dead, right?
Treifa. And therefore you want to send him there? Why? What did he do wrong?
Because he's already has a death penalty.
A dead person. He's not here. Dead. Not dead man walking. Dead. Dead. My question is that a dead person. All doctors confirm the guy is a goner. Finished. What's that?
He has to be buried. ASAP.
Why do you want to send him there? Bury him here. Har Menuchos.
No, I'm saying, yeah, he has to be...
I'm asking, can it be that there's a dead person somewhere who says, oh, we're going to send you, not that he responds, we're going to send you, this dead body, to the city of refuge.
What's he getting by it?
I don't know.
The whole idea is the fact that you're protecting the person who wants to kill it.
That's the whole idea.
But the guy's dead.
That's not just the whole idea. It's also a kapara. Galus atones for your sins. But he's no longer here. His neshama is upstairs already. And yet I'm saying it could be, I'm asking, can it be that we're sending a dead person to a city of refuge? Mes mitzvah, what do you want to send him? Mes mitzvah koines mekoimo. You bury him exactly over here. I'm not sending him away to a city of refuge. I'm talking about a dead person, not a dead man walking. a dead body that all doctors, 71 doctors came, Sanhedrin of doctors say, this is that person, finished. Kohen Gadol, what about it? You want to send him to a city of refuge? What do he do to you? He is matir, so bury him. And now everybody can come out. But what do you want to send him when he's dead to the city of refuge? Unless you have a makor, I'll accept it. Otherwise, it's very, very hard to accept. Im kabal al nekaber. Gemore. Makos daf Yud Aleph Amud Beis. Paskin la halacha in the Rambam Hilchos Rotzeach Perek Zayin Halacha Dalet, I believe. If the person was sentenced in Beis Din Legalus, he has to go to the city of refuge. And he died, you send his body to the city of refuge. Gemara Meforeshes. Rotzeach shenigmar dino leagloiso. Language of the Rambam. Umes kodem sheyigle, and he died before we had a chance to take him to Galos. Molichin atzmoisav lesham. You take his bones and you take him there. When the Kohen Gadol dies, you take him out and you bury him in Kivrei Avos. The Gemara says, where'd you get this from? And the Gemara says, the Pasuk says that he has to stay there, Lashevet ba'aretz ad moisa kohen. He has to stay in the city of refuge until the Kohen dies. Ezohi yeshiva shi ba'aretz. What is considered permanency? Sitting in the land? Have oimer zu kvura. That refers to burial, so that can only do to a person who's dead. So this is the person that the Pasuk is talking about. So you take that dead person and put him in the city of refuge.
So, but you have to bury him.
You bury him there. That's right. You take him to the refuge and you bury him there. Big chiddush.
When the Kohen dies, you bury him in his family.
Now, if you want, you can bring him to Kivrei Avos.
Does it matter if he died naturally or through the Goal of Adam?
His sentence was to go to the city of refuge. We didn't have the chance to do that because he has a heart attack. As soon as he heard the sentence, he dropped dead right there. So we'll execute the verdict and we'll take him to the city of refuge.
And if the Goal of Adam kills him before?
Then finished. That's over. We're talking about the Goel Dam did not have a chance to kill him.
His Rebbe would also have to go with him to the city of refuge.
Who does?
The Rebbe.
No. The Rebbe is there to teach him Torah. You don't teach a dead person Torah. Hopefully in the Malachim upstairs are teaching him Torah. Tomorrow is Rosh Chodesh. In Tfilas Musaf of Rosh Chodesh we say, Uve'avodas Beis HaMikdash. What's going to happen? Nismach kulanu. We will be so joyous. Where is Beis HaMikdash? Why on Rosh Chodesh you say Nismach kulanu and Yom Tov you don't say that? Yom Tov we're not all going to be happy? On Rosh Chodesh you're saying we're all going to be so happy going to Beis HaMikdash, seeing the service. Gewaldig. Yom Tov, no, I'm not sure I'm going to be so happy. Or maybe I will, not you. Kulanu, all of us will be happy. Rosh Chodesh. Yom Tov, not so sure. Why is that? Ever bothered you?
We're already happy.
We're already happy when?
Today, we're already happy.
But when Yom Tov comes, you're not happy?
We are.
So why don't you start with Yom Tov and then by Rosh Chodesh, you'll be happy. Why do you say these words Dafka on Rosh Chodesh? You don't say them Yom Tov. Yom Tov is a joyous time. Rosh Chodesh doesn't say that you have to have extra simcha. Even though it's a moyed. But Yom Tov it does say. So if you're commanded to be happy, how much more? So all of us will be happy? No. Rosh Chodesh, Voyage Beis HaMikdash, Nismach kulanu. Yom Tov, no. Didn't bother you?
The person doesn't have the same expenses on Rosh Chodesh. You don't, well, that's it.
Why not?
Do you have any on to?
Taf Yutet Shulchan Aruch HaChaim, you have to have an extra something when you eat on Rosh Chodesh? You have expenses. Gewaltige question, no? This Shabbos, there is differences in Minhagim. One haftarah we're going to read. Some kehilos are going to read Shimu Dvar Hashem for the 3 weeks. And some kehilos are going to read the haftarah that we normally read for Rosh Chodesh because the Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. Difference in Minhagim. Every kehila does what they do and that's fine. In the normal haftarah for Rosh Chodesh, we say a pasuk in Yeshaya Samech Vav. That's why we read this. Midei Shabbos b'Shabbatoi. Yavo. Who's going to come? Kol basar lishtachavot lefanai Omar Hashem. Everybody's going to come every Shabbos and every Rosh Chodesh. And the Medrash and Psikta Rabasi Piska Aleph asked, really? How is it possible? How is it possible? Every Shabbos and every Rosh Chodesh, everyone is going to come. What if you live in Beersheba? What if you live in Haifa? What if you live in New York or in Nebach? How are you going to come? It's מחוץ לתחום. How can you come on Shabbos? Shout out the Medrash. The Medrash says, don't worry. First of all, the Medrash, big Chiddush over there, and says, in the future, soon Mitzvah Hashem will see it, Eretz Yisrael is going to expand over the entire world. Yerushalayim will expand over the entire country, and Eretz Yisrael will expand over the whole world. Second, big Chiddush, that the Medrash addresses this question, says, how will they be able to travel? The Medrash says, Friday night, you're still in your home, you go to shul, you come back, you eat. Shabbos morning, you get up, you go to your regular shul, you like your chazanim, you come back home, Cloud Express is waiting right outside your house, you hop on, air conditioned. You go all the way to Beis HaMikdash, you bow down to Rebbeinu Shel Olam, turns around, the cloud takes you back home, and that you have still time to eat the cholent when it's hot. I'm not making it up. The Medrash says, "Ve'achem ba'in, ela melamed she'ayu he'avim toyanim oisam." Avim is clouds. The clouds hop on my. Each one is going to have, I think, his own. The greater tzaddik, the more amenities and features you're going to have. You know, first class, all kinds of more padded seat. I don't know. Pile ploy. Mimele, based on this Medrash says, Reb Chaim Kanievsky zatzah. Now understand? Yom Tiv, not everybody comes. Many people are exempt from coming aliyah l'regel. For example, women are chayav to come aliyah l'regel? No. Old people, exempt. A person who doesn't have karka in Eretz Yisrael, doesn't have land, exempt. A person who is blind, even one eye, exempt. Doesn't have a leg, exempt. Many exemptions. So Yom Tov, not everybody's going to be there. But Rosh Chodesh and Shabbos, everybody's going to be there. Mimele be'avodas Rosh Chodesh, be'avodas Beis Hamikdash and Rosh Chodesh, nismach kulanu, because we will all be there. You did so good in the previous riddle. Let's ask you another one. But this is not about Rosh Chodesh. 9 days, starting Shabbos. Can it be that there's something that is asur to do the entire year? 9 days, you're allowed to. We would think it's the opposite. 9 days is more chumrus, more things, restrictions that we don't do. Don't do this and don't do that. As we near Tisha B'Av, there's more restrictions. And yet, I'm looking for something that you're not allowed to do year round. 9 days, yeah, no problem. Then you can do it. Can it be? You're saying yes, it can be. No, let's hear.
You can wear your day clothes on Shabbos.
That's a terrible thing.
You're allowed to.
First of all, on the regular Shabbos, you're also allowed to. Chaval, you're not honoring the Shabbos, you're not doing anything wrong. Adin in Shulchan Aruch that you're not allowed to do year round. You're not allowed to. If I catch you wearing big deichol on Shabbos, is there any transgression? You did something wrong? You should honor the Shabbos with something more dignified. So Gemara in Shabbos Kuf Yud Gimel shelo yeh malbushcha shel Shabbos ke malbushcha shel choil. An isur. An isur. Isur. You're not allowed to do this the whole year. 9 days you're allowed to.
Not to answer hello to somebody back and smile.
Not to answer is an issue if you said, "Oh, how are you?" instead of saying hello. It's an issue. That if you totally ignore them. The Gemara in Brachos recorded in Shulchan Aruch. I'm looking for an issue that the Shulchan Aruch discusses. And by the way, no, Rachaim, in your there. Big Chiddush. Shulchan Aruch Yoredea, Siman Tzad Design, Seif Aleph, we learn you're not allowed to make a milchik bread. You're not allowed to. Milchik bread. Don't make a milchik bread. Why? Because we're afraid. As we said before, bread is always a main staple in every meal. Maybe you're going to come to eat it in the next meal, in a fleishik meal. So even b'diavad, if you didn't listen, you forgot, you made it, it's asur, you're not allowed to eat it. Unless you made it in a specific shape, and that's the reason. In Eretz Yisrael, all cheese bureka are triangle. To differentiate them from potato bureka, which is a different shape. They dafka, the kashrus organizations, the bakeries make sure that they always do it triangle. So you know this is milks, don't get to eat it in a fleishik meal. Or if you made a very small amount of the milk bread for this specific meal, you're good to go. But otherwise, you're not allowed to. Comes the Darkei Tshuva over there in Siman Tzad Design Seif Cotton Lamed Daled and says he brings from a sefer called Oel Moed. You're right, all year long you're not allowed to. But on the 9 days, since anyways you're not allowed to eat meat, so you can make milchik bread. A tremendous chiddush. The Maharsham in Zal Tshuva Maharsham Chelek Zayin Siman Ayin Vav doesn't like it, and he says, "What do you mean I can't eat bread? I can't eat fleishik? Of course I can. I'm going to do a siyum tonight. I can't eat a sudas mitzvah, for example, a siyum. What about Shabbos in the middle of the 9 days? I can eat. And what about if you allow me to do it now, I'm going to save it. Whatever I've left over, I'm going to freeze it. I'm going to eat it potentially after Tisha B'Av. So the Masham doesn't like this. But the answer to our question, based on the riddle, with the Darkei Tshuva comes to our help. And the answer is, during the 9 days, according to the Oel Moed brought in the Darkei Tshuva, one will be allowed to make milchik bread. In Sefer Lev Eliyahu, Reb Lapian.
Still make a motzi?
Yeah, sure. If it's that type of a bread that requires a motzi. Sefer Lev Eliyahu, Bereshis.
So you still have to have a simon on this. That means the same simon you'd have on the dairy bread, you'd have to have that on that also?
No. That you can do year round. If you have a simon, you're allowed to make a milchik bread. If you have a simon on it, no problem. The chiddush here is, even though normally you're not allowed to make your regular bread, but this time with milk, and nobody knows, only you're not allowed to. During the 9 days, says that you're allowed to. But I must say that the Maharsham doesn't agree with this. In Lev Eliyahu, Rebbe Lapian, Bereshis, page, I think Reish Samer Gimel, brings from Sefer Toiras HaOila. Toiras HaOila is one of the Sfarim that the Rema wrote. This does not appear in Toiras HaOila, and nobody knows where the Lev Eliyahu brought it, but it appears in other Sfarim as well. And this is a Masorah that we have for many, many years. And he brings that after the destruction of Beis Hamikdash, the Greek philosopher Plato came to Yerushalayim with Nebuchadnezzar, who destroyed Beis Hamikdash. And they were walking Yerushalayim. At one point, Plato was walking near Beis Hamikdash, what was not left of it, and he saw Yirmiyah crying and crying and crying. And Plato goes to Yirmiyah and he says to him, "You're such a wise man. Why are you crying over wood and stone? It's not appropriate, it's not fitting for a chacham like you to cry for stones. And second of all, what a tear is going to do for you? It already happened, so you're crying for the past. What's the sense in that? You're so wise, it's not fitting." And instead of answering him, Yirmiyah says, "Oh, the great philosopher, do you have any dilemmas that are bothering you? Any questions that you couldn't find any answer for?" And he says, "Sure, I have, but no human being can answer. These are very deep philosophical questions that no one can answer." And Yirmiyah says, "Well, let's try." And Plato asks him a question, and Yirmiyah on the spot answers it. He asks him another question, and he answers him immediately. And he's in awe. He says, "That doesn't make sense. You're not behaving like a human being. You're even not able to figure this one out. How is this possible?" And Yirmiyah points to where Beis Hamikdash was, and he says, "I soaked up and received all the wisdom that I have from those stones and from that wood that you're saying, why are you crying over it? That's where I got all my chokhmah." And regarding your second question, why am I crying for the past? Yirmiyah said to him, "I can't answer you, because you're not from a Jewish seed. You won't be able to understand this." And what Yirmiyah was saying is, I'm not crying only for the past. I am. But these tears are actually the ones that build the future Beis Hamikdash. So it's true that we cry. We cry for what we lost. But lemaise, our tears, and some Sefer says this as well, our tears are the ones that building Beis Hamikdash. Every tear is one more brick in Beis Hamikdash. It's the last time we're going to speak about the destruction of Beis Hamikdash. And next time we're only going to speak about the rebuilding and the stories of Geula Mitzvah Hashem. אחינו כל בית ישראל הנשואים בצער ובשיב והעומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה. המקום ירחם עליהם ויוציאם מצער ולבוכם פי לא ירא. ושיעבוד לגאולה אשתו בעגולו בזמן קורי ואינו ימר אמן.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.